And I'm live. It's definitely saying I'm live. Now, it's telling me.
Yeah, 'cause all I see is your
Well, you might
your
have to.
previous.
Yeah, you might just keyframe frequency of 4 frames or less.
All right, I see it now,
Okay.
but it's only, I think, your camera.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it in just a second. I'm just trying to get everything set right. Go to
10
settings.
4.
Let me go to my stream. Go to my output. Let me change my keyframe rate.
Quality seems to be better.
Yeah, is it better? Okay.
We went from 144p to 360p, so that's an improvement.
Is it? I mean, it's no stream output. Let me try this. Let me see what YouTube says now. Okay. Let's see if you can see the so you can see the desktop if I switch to it. Okay. And change scene. Yeah. Which one is being broadcast now? What do you see, Vlad? Oh, I'm seeing. Yeah,
Um,
I'm seeing you guys. You're all in. Oh no, just switch back. Let me.
switched back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How's it? How's the quality? Is it? We can. You're not gonna be able to see a desktop like that. Mm-mm-mm. There's. I'm trying to go a little slower on our processing. How about that? Is that any better? Wow, it might take a minute to come through. Is it actually possible to um to see the desktop, like to read the desktop? If I put up, let's say, what am I sharing? Dude, I did this like just the other day, and I had just fine. I had perfectly good. I want to stop the share. I didn't want to minimize it that far. We're winning. We're winning. We're winning it. We getting there, buddy. I look like you can see my desktop. Yeah. Keyframe frequency. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks good for me. I don't know, but it's on my desk, on my thing. Let me look. If I go here, go to Automation Mercenaries. Oh yeah, it's you know, it's not horrendous. It's not horrendous just now. You know? It's not terrible. Okay. Let's look like we're getting somewhere. Maybe. Let me try this. Let me try and pull this in. All right. So, one of the things, you know, we were talking about with it is that Vlad, you know, is using Ignition over there to be able to transmit. The way that I've got this set up now, for the moment, just in order to get things going, and I'll be setting this up on our actual program in order to transmit live. But as you can see here, what we're doing is currently they're transmitting these variables that to you. Here you go. Everybody see my screen now? All right. So now that you guys can see that, right? So this is how I'm publishing. And when you look at our MQTT FX, right, it's not hard to see that right here. Let me clear this out. Clear. Start scanning again. These topics all have data coming in pretty constantly. And I think you're seeing the same thing on your end, right? Okay. And Justin, you're able to pick this up. Which payload? Oh, because I'm showing Sparkplug. So if I click back over to... Yeah, it's just because I was showing it in Sparkplug, right? This is... Yeah, well, so it's a type of JSON, right? So if I do pretty JSON, right, it says is an unexpected character, but it sees each of the characters, right? So Sparkplug is just it's a very specific method of grabbing the data, right? So if I put it back to plain text, there you go. You can see it right there. So, so that's the information that I'm publishing here out of my. So I'm also sending a very long string with this that was set up to the initial value that was set on it was like a huge string of like 300 characters. So, but now we can see how this publish is working. So to set up to do a direct publish directly out of a PLC is actually quite difficult. It takes a lot to get that to work. So I think the big thing to do now is to try and get us talking on. Oh no, I didn't want to share that one. I wanted to share the other one. Stop share here. I want to share this one right here. There you go. I think the thing to do now is to get us talking on the IoT connector and talking to the rest of it. So Justin, why don't you kind of talk through your configuration and kind of show us what you're looking at, and we'll get set up to start publishing over to IoT Hub after that. Yes, I can. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Both, yeah, I guess locally and remote. So in this situation, we're using, Sean's Opto 22. So this is the IP address, and then obviously the port, the username and password. And then obviously, if you had certificate information, you can implement that there. Um, so that's basically the node. That's basically so far that's the configuration. Now
Makes sense.
now the points. This is where it's probably a little more, or I guess this process is a little more simplified than ignition, as you'll be seeing. So this is sort of the last point. So basically, we have a tag name, which we already have tags. I already have tags in here, but so what I could do is just say, you know, we could create a new tag. Let's call this this. We could specify for this thing. Let's just say it's text. So I've created a tag, and then we specify the node, and then the topic. Like this is the topic coming out of the Opto. that I was subscribing to. But if you guys have a different topic you want to me to look at, then we can certainly do that. So, um, so basically, our tags can ultimately be obviously we can create as many tags if you want, and we can be pointing them obviously at the same topic. We can actually specify whether some of these are read or write. So we basically, or if it's read and write, as you can do that too. But obviously, if you know, depending on the situation you might have a certain tag that's only for it's only going to write because you don't really care about reading the feedback. But obviously, if you wanted the actual status of that, so basically the subscription and publishing, then you can you know, set that up this way. So for my testing, I think I'm using this point right here. This is a tag I created, um, and so if I go over here to my to this is what we're pulling back from Sean, um, and I can look. Well, we can actually go to the screen. Go to the screen. We can. So we basically. So this is just a text box. You can either tell this thing that you want it to be um, to function both ways. Like you can put in a value, or you can or you are just going to read a value, or you're going to input only. So right now I have this set up to where I'm only showing an output. Right, so this is just receiving the value from from its data source, which is ultimately you know, the Opto 22 connection. Um, and then this is our sort of tag that we have out there. Um, and then um, and then we specify a link. So if I strip this link down, so I went from 20 to let's say um, let's just say 5, right? Um, so if I save this, and my computer is like slow, so it takes a second to for save. So as you see now, that's what we're seeing.
It truncates the data.
Right. So you guys, so at least in Factory Studio, you have to specify the actual length. Oops. You specify the length that you're looking for, right? So if you don't know the length of your string, right, then you're going to have a value that may be slightly high so that you make sure you grab all of the characters, right? But obviously if it's a number, which is most likely going to be the case, then you can pretty much, you know that, okay, well, I'm going to have, I want you kind of approach it like you would, like when you're setting up uh, uh your your numerical digits is kind of how you would probably set, you know, assume that at least in Factory Studio. Um, so at this point, we've got everything configured, right? So we don't have any external modules. There's no external anything. All of this is native when you install Factory Studio. So these drivers are available. Now, we did have some issues with the publishing, which we got that resolved with the help of Tatsolve.
Mm-hmm.
It went pretty well. It was an update there, which they'll probably have a new version out or something that would ultimately have that fix in there. Because ultimately, at the time I installed this software, I was only able to subscribe, but now we can actually publish as well if we chose to. Um, and so, but yeah, that's literally setting up the MQTT connection. So, like I said, you would first create your tags.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I have, you know, as you see up for different, like say a pump, for example. So I have the different information. Then ultimately, when you want to access all these parameters as far as part of the tag, then you could actually do that. So if I come up here, I'll just say this one here. We'll just do this one. And if I said tag, and like I said, this is sort of because this is like .NET, so it's pretty much they'll let you navigate the sort of tag. And if I picked a pump, so I have pump 01, right? So I can specify that, and then I can specify the parameter that I'm looking for, right? So so whatever I wanted in that situation. So we could say, like run status or something. And so that's all you do. And obviously the box red whenever there's an issue. So you always know, like, as far as that, situation there. But anyway, so like I said, pretty simple. It's just as simple to set up MQTT in here in Factory Studio as it is to set up your connection to an Allen Bradley PLC or just any other device. Like I said, it's pretty much all the same. I only have the MQTT thing set up. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty much as far as from an MQTT standpoint, kind of the setup of the Factory Studio. Like, there's really nothing more than that. Obviously, with Ignition, there's more to it. That's where both platforms have their pros and cons, but ultimately, I think that they do certain things pretty well. I mean, so what do you guys think as far as like the setting up of this client, basically?
Oh, that's pretty great. I'm impressed. That's really nice to have a lot of that stuff built in, and as native as it is, it's pretty great.
Right, because like when I was setting this up, I went into it thinking, okay, it's going to be complicated like other platforms, So
Yeah.
when I wasn't able to publish data, I was like, okay, I'm like not doing something right. I need to script it or something like that. And so ultimately, it was like a real simple thing. I know it's one thing that they changed was that originally the QoS information, which is well, I guess it'd be this information here, I believe, or at least this part here was over here with the point, I think. Yeah, I think it was in the points or something at some point. Well, now it's pretty much all this. Either way, it's pretty straight. Now we separate everything out. So, like I said, as long as you know the path. So really the key to MQTT, at least not only in Factory Studio, but even Ignition, other than Ignition is more folder based.
Mm-hmm.
So you're building either folders or tags or all of that sort of stuff. So however you build that structure, like an Ignition, that's ultimately your topic, right?
Yeah.
Your whole topic, string. So in here, it's kind of the same way, but you're not actually building folders, but you're building your address essentially.
Right.
So it's kind of how you sort of manage, that, right?
Right.
I mean, as far as all that, that's where the like the big key is, I think. But I mean, like I said, it's pretty easy to set up if you know what your topic structure is and so what you're connecting to, all of that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where I would like to see it go a little bit further is kind of like Ignition, where basically you give it like so we could give it this first level, right?
Yeah.
And then just do that,
Yeah.
and then let it build all of the actual things. But I think because it doesn't actually have to build the tags because you build tags yourself,
Yeah.
then because in ignition, you've got to have you have your MQTT tags, right? So if I pull up my ignition, so um I have already so when I had my mosquito broker running, and I connected to it, um because in my situation, um let me see here, go here. So like in my situation, I did everything with the engine. I'm just going to compare the two, from ignition to Factory Studio. So with the Sirius Link module, so obviously we have that. But from a namespace perspective, we have the custom. So I did this where basically I was looking for everything under this the main topic, right? So everything that it starts with there, um, and so ultimately, from so whenever I publish to the if I publish to my broker, now it would actually build that so that structure exists now, right? So I have this structure here. I kind of broke this initially because I was trying some different things. We kept where some other stuff, but basically in ignition. And so like you've seen, I only have the MQTT engine running inside of ignition. So I have, so these are my MQTT tags. Now, ultimately, I could have tags like, um, like some people might have more traditional tags, right? So you may have tags over here, right, as well, where you might have, some tags, which I just created these sort of tags just for reference. Now, right now, these are being simulated. Um, but this is basically, so in Factory Studio, you see it. Well, we have MQTT tags, and then we just have whatever so we've built like in ignition, like already or ongoing. In Factory Studio, these become one and the same, or they can if you wanted it to be that way. So if I go back here, this tag the this tag here, this test point that I'm actually pulling the text box in, it's the same tag. It's just one tag over here. So it doesn't over here on my tags, it doesn't care, right? I'm specifying where I'm putting the data um so inside my device. So now I have access to whatever tags, or if I want to change this tag to something else, now it's going to do that. Some people may look at that, pros and cons, depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, if you look at like Ignition versus Factory Studio or like other platforms, you know, so Ignition obviously builds this whole tag structure whenever it connects to your broker, right? And it publishes something for the first time. Um, the only difference in Ignition, I had if now obviously so Vladimir had the transmission module, I believe, that he was using, and so he was able to use it to sort of publish. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So in my situation, let's make sure I have. I think it's here. No, that's not what I did. Oh, I had these scripts. So I had basically I created two different tag simulations. So I have so I'm writing what makes one of this one out, but basically I created a 1 second where I'm updating, where I'm actually writing to the broker through the Sirius Link MQTT engine, And so basically the we're taking that value, um, and we're actually pushing it. So we're actually or specifying where we want to put the actual
Yeah, you're mapping it.
topic, right?
You're mapping it over to a
On the
tag, right?
payload, right? So we're doing that in here. Now again, that was me just wanting to use the MQTT engine. Now you can go ahead and you can use all their different modules, right? If you want to sort of make it more just a configuration. But if for some reason someone out there was on a budget, right, and you just wanted to use like the MQTT engine, then ultimately you could do it like this, you know.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to demonstrate sort of, what could be done or whatever. So obviously, so we're just mapping it to a tag, and then it runs the same way with some of this other stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to show that as a comparison
Yeah.
from like Factory Studio to like Ignition, because I think they both have like things that sort of like good. Like I like the fact that if you connect to the main topic, then it builds all the tags. If you set your topic up to where it's the same, right, to where everything falls underneath, and you had like 10,000 tags in a system, it's going to pull it all in a matter of like 2 minutes probably.
Yeah.
So when instead of you having to build it, right? So I mean, that's one thing I see like that probably all platform now that might be because of their use of like Sparkplug B and so on. But I think over here you would have to build that by hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's there are things here that are simpler as far as the process because because they've really simplified the configuring of it. So anyway, that's pretty much what how I configured it. So like I said, it was pretty simple to configure it in Factory Studio. Obviously, I spent some time with on the graphics side, just because I'd already been simulating, because I had some scripts running um, for or some classes that I had built to do different like simulations or whatever,
Right.
which like are like, well, we can take a look at one like C sharp, and then like I said, this is all like C sharp stuff. So someone out there knows like C sharp, or if you want it Visual Basic, you can do it Visual Basic. They have a way now to do it in Python. So basically, I'm just using pretty standard like C sharp code to sort of generate a number. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just generating a random number, and then passing it to a tag, and then obviously I specify my range. So and then ultimately, and then I can run these tasks. Um, I can run these tasks at. I can call these tasks from inside my you know. So if I go to ESP screen. And my computer's probably a bad one to do a demo because it's like on its last leg. So I'm still waiting on my new computer.
Mm.
So so like this here. So obviously, like right now we have where we're triggering this VFD start command, kind of to say, okay, I want to start the pump.
Yep.
But basically, if we go, actually, it's over here. So we go to these tasks, then then so our classes our classes we actually can specify you know how how we want to run. So we so I've triggered things off of like a tag, right? So I trip that class or whatever, So anyway, that's like I said, it's like I said, we basically I have this expression, and so this is where we're actually triggering these classes based off of that. So off of a certain tag or whatever, So as long as it's true, then I can be simulating. I can have I can simulate, or I have them specified on a timer or a trigger action or whatever. So So anyway, that's pretty much how that worked or whatever. But obviously, for this video or this podcast, is around really the MQTT. But I was just so since I don't think you guys have really seen it much, sort of showing you sort of like some of the sort of ins and outs of the platform, which I think is pretty cool.
That's
For the most
fantastic.
part.
That's really fantastic. I think this has been a super informative, right? I think one of the things we need to do is shift over to Kudzai and let
Yeah.
him talk about
Yep. So we're
the
we're good.
yeah.
Yep.
No, it's good though because we definitely need to set this up and we need to make sure that we've got a good understanding of the system that we're using before we proceed. And we did fight quite a bit of technical issues getting this all lined out. Something that we haven't really talked a whole. Justin and I mean, I went to your house. How long ago was it? It was last week, and
Yeah.
we also had other issues with just. I mean, it didn't matter what parts of what we were doing was we were looking at it just was all complicated. It was giving us problems in every aspect. So I wanted to make sure that we at least talk through the configuration really well. So what do you got, Cuddy? What do you think? What can we kind of maybe add as far as for the IoT hub? And at the same time, I'm over here. I'm also working on getting the IoT hub connector set up so that hopefully you can start pulling in some data here in just a moment using Codesys. So if you want to just kind of talk us through, where you're connected, what you're looking at, and how this, different ways to get data over to the IoT hub, because that's kind of been part of the fight is getting data from one place to another.
Okay, sweet.
Go ahead and share your screen if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and share my screen. Got it?
Not yet.
Yeah, I see it.
Have you guys seen Cud's screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just me. Then hang on. Let me get to my other Zoom video. There's that one.
Could you talk us through also, I guess, why Azure? Like, what does it provide instead of, let's say, using like a SQL database through like AWS on a hosted server or just a server in general? Like, what does IoT in general provide?
Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not seeing your screen. I don't have it. It's not coming into me. Maybe.
Yeah,
That's weird. The only thing I'm seeing is just everybody's. There it is. Aha, there it is. Quit that. Now I've got it. Okay, it came in. All right, there we go. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe to answer the first question to say why Azure. So basically here the plan is to send all of this data to Azure time series insights. So within Azure, we could use a SQL Server database in as much as we could use it on AWS or any other platforms. But the number one reason why we're using time series insights is because of the way in which we want to have access to the data. Because Azure time series insights, it's the storage mechanism, in as much as SQLite, SQL Server is also used for storage, but the difference is the technology behind it. So Azure Time Series Insights, it uses SSD in memory, right? So that makes you access the information very fast as opposed to you requesting. I'm sure you can imagine a situation whereby we are trying to explore the data and trying to find different patterns. So having that information being sent down to SQL Server database and pulled back up, that could be like really not a very friendly experience to have. So that is why we have got Azure Time Series Insights, which sort of like holds your data, it keeps your data fresh and hot, ready for you to do whatever permutations and combinations you want to do with the data. So that's the number one reason why we're using Azure Time Series Insights. It lets you retrieve the data very, very fast, so you can work through it as fast as you can. You can come up with the different combinations of the data and view all the different patterns. Okay, so now the kind of architecture that we've got here, as Sean said, the difficulty here was to say, how do we get the data to Azure IoT Hub? So Azure as a platform has got sort of like an entry point. It's got a cloud, a device-facing side, which is the Azure IoT Hub. So the only way you could get your data, or we could, if you've got an application that has got a REST API interface, you could send your data straight to that. But if you want to go through the IoT Hub, there's only one way to do that. So now the IoT Hub itself is an MQTT broker. It does accept other protocols such as AMQP, but it's primarily, I've used it as an MQTT broker. So it is not a generic broker like your Mosquito, like it doesn't conform to the rules of a general broker. There's specific rules if you want to use it as a broker. Okay, so there are like two ways of sending your data to IoT Hub. One is you use the SDK, which is a situation whereby you identify the device in the registry, right? In the device registry, the device name is stored in there. So when you send that information, the IoT Hub already knows what to expect. It already knows what device it is. Okay, so that's one option. And the other option is to try and use it as a normal broker. Okay, so once which is what we are going to be using with Sean. That's why I've sent him the connection information to say we're going to act as if IoT Hub is a normal broker. So we're going to use the URL, which is, I don't know if we've got the URLs here. Let me see if I can pull up them. Okay, so I've got the information here. So now if you want to communicate with the Azure IoT Hub as a standalone MQTT client, so this is how you specify your URL. So this is the name of my IoT Hub, .azuredevices.net, and then it has to be an SSL, your data has to be SSL authenticated, and the port is 8883, which is your SSL port of communication when you're doing MQTT. And then your client ID becomes the name of your device, the actual device that you create in the IoT Hub. So I'm going to show you quickly here. So this is my IoT Hub here. So I'm going to click into it. So as I mentioned before, the IoT Hub serves as an entry point into the cloud. So it sort of feeds into all the different cloud services, whether it's big data, it's machine learning, it's time series insights, all of them, they get the data from the IoT Hub. So in the IoT hub itself, you can have devices that are associated with a certain IoT hub. So you can have more than one IoT hub in a portal or in a certain platform. So each hub could perhaps be responsible for saving 1,000 devices or 2,000 devices. So you can sort of like do some kind of load balancing. So here under the IoT hub, you can check out the devices that are here. If I click on IoT devices, okay, so I've currently got one device that is configured under this IoT device. So you can add as many devices as you want. So I can add this one and say demo device. And then this is where you specify all the authentication information that you're going to be using. So normally this is what I use, the symmetric key. If you're going to be using, which I suppose if you're going to be using what Justin just showed us, you want to use an X509 certificate, you can select this option that will generate the certificate for you, which you then go on to upload on whatever client you're going to use. And then the primary key, it specifies that for you. And then you can say, connect this device to an IoT hub, and then you can save. So I've created a device. So now whatever device on the edge that I want to connect to, that I want to use to send information to my Azure IoT platform, if it is associated with this demo device, then I would have to use the connect information that is specific to this device. So yeah, the code is a standalone MQTT client. We're going to be using this as client ID, and the M becomes the URL of your IoT hub slash the name of the device. So that becomes your username. So this is sort of like a way of preparing to use the IoT hub as a generic MQTT broker, so to speak. And then your password becomes a token that you generate. So this one, I just generated it, and it's going to be valid for 48 hours. So if we're going to be doing this demo some other time, I have to regenerate this token to use as a password. So it's not if you must use a topic structure that starts with the name devices, which is, and then slash the name of the device that you're sending your data to, slash messages, slash events. And then from there, you can then go on to extend your topic based on how you want it to be like. So this is where we can then say factory one slash pump variables slash, and then you can go on. But this part here has to be there so that IoT Hub knows exactly where to send the information. Okay, so that's when you are sending the information as a standalone controller. So we're considering using Node-RED to send directly. I don't know if that option is still up for consideration, Sean. So if we are going to be going the Node-RED route, then we are going to let me see if we can. Start my Node-RED here. You would use if you are, say, communicating using like C# or Python or any other popular languages, you use this same information that you'd use with your Node-RED. Okay. Okay, so my Node-RED is taking forever too. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the Node-RED. So I'm just gonna show you. So here, actually, I think you'd recognize this, Vlad. So this is your top, but for some reason, I think you're running into a challenge trying to read your Spark message. So if you are using the Node-RED, so what I was actually trying to do here is I wanted to read the topic of Sean's broker.
Yep.
Right here with all this information, and then
You have a
create
function
an
node.
object. Yeah,
Yeah.
use a function there to create that as an object. So that is going to, let me just look at this. Okay, so what I was going to do here is I'm going to read off the topic from Sean's broker, right, as an MQTT, and then pass it on to this function block that converts that into a JSON object, and then use an Azure IoT Hub node. Okay, so here, as you can see, I'm specifying the message as an MQTT. And then here, the device ID, this is where you'd then put the name of the device as configured in your IoT Hub. And then the key is this one. So it comes as a connection string. So here, I'm just stripping it bit by bit. This first part here is your URL. And then this one is your device ID. And then this one is your key. So I just save it separately here. And then your protocol is MQTT, and then your data is the payload. And then on your IoT Hub node, this is where you then set it again as MQTT. And then here where it says the host name, this is then where you're going to take this first part of your connection string. Now I'll show you what my connection string on the IoT Hub side of things. Okay, so when you're using Node-RED, that's all you need to do to send your data to IoT Hub. And then, so that's another way of doing it as opposed to using the standalone MQTT client. So I'm going to go into my.
So your shared access signature that starts with the SR equal, or is that does it just start with the link?
Or the whole, even the shared access signature, the
Yeah.
whole name.
The whole name. So it starts with the
Yeah.
Okay.
Where it says shared access up to the end.
That's you got to put that in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do that whole thing.
So that's your password, okay? So that's the primary connection string here. So now what happens is that as soon as your data hits the IoT Hub, there could be a lot of applications that are consuming that data. So you could be having a database application, or you could be having a machine learning model. So now it's wise to create sort of like consumer groups so that these services that are trying to get data from IoT Hub, since it's going to be the only IoT Hub, so that they don't like sort of interfere with each other. So you have to create consumer group. Then you know that your Azure Time Series Insights has got a consumer group that is specifically like sort of that data is channeled specifically to Azure Time Series Insight now, because you don't want a situation whereby say your analytics software is sort of like consumed that data, and then there's no way of knowing on the IoT Hub what service has already got this specific piece of information. So if you segment it into different consumer groups, that's the way of ensuring that you always get you've got some sort of data integrity, so to speak. So now to do that, I'm under my IoT hub here.
What's your
So I just
IoT
go,
hub name?
it's BEP,
Demo IoT hub.
demo
Okay.
IoT hub. Yeah. So here, if you go under built-in endpoints, this is where you see I've got the consumer groups, so you can add as many consumer groups as you want. So here I created an MQTT demo consumer group that is specific for the data for this particular demo, right? Okay, so I'll just go back to my resources now, and you can. So now here is my time series insights. So let me just take you through the process of creating time series insights, so that it can show you how it what's involved in that. Okay, so if I'm creating a new time series insight to create a resource, Internet of Things, and then I've got my time series insights. Okay, so you can just give your environment a name. DMA2 TSI. I'm not going to get the creation of this one. So, and then the resource group. So the resource group is sort of like a folder. So when you create, so for example, for this particular demo, I created a resource group whereby all of the elements that we're going to be using in this demo, which is the IoT Hub, the time series insights, we can all have them in one sort of like folder or some kind of repository. So as you can see, this is quite an expensive. So you see, this one is like 2,280 bucks per month, which is rand. So that would translate to about like $150 per month, I think, which is US dollars. So this is very expensive compared to a SQL like server database. For a SQL server database, you pay for something like $30 or 20 something dollars per month, like for like a standard 4 gig. So this is like very, very expensive, you know. So you can just go to next event source. And then here, this is where then you create your event source, because all of this data is going to be going to the time series. Data from the IoT Hub is going to be going to the time series insights as events. So you have to give that event a name. So you can say just IoT Hub events. And then you select the IoT Hub that you're going to be receiving the data from. So which is my BEP demo IoT Hub. And then you can select the IoT Hub access policy. So the IoT Hub has got different levels of access. So there's IoT Hub owner, which gives you full access to the IoT Hub. You can delete, write to it, you can do whatever. So you have to specify here what sort of access level you're granting your time series insights. So here we're going to say IoT Hub owner. And then here, this is where you specify the consumer group to say what consumer group is your IoT time series insights going to be getting the data from. So this is where I'm going to be using the MQTT demo consumer group. And then you go to review and create. It's going to show you all of this information. So I'm not going to go ahead with the creation of this one because we already have time series insights created. So I'll go back to the home, go to all resources, and then I'll click into the time series insights. So, but time series insights really it's data dependent. So there isn't really much that we're going to see if we do not have any data, because it forms the trends and the names as the data comes through. As the data comes through, it will label that data, and then you'll be able to dig through the data. Now you can just check here the metrics. So you can select here ingress received bytes to see how many bytes have been received, how many messages have been received. So obviously we've got none at the moment, since we're waiting for Mr. Terrell to supply us with the
Standby.
Okay, now go to overview. So go to the environment. So this is the platform view of it. So you can actually go to the environment, which is the page that allows you then to explore through your all of the information. So obviously we do not have much data here.
Yeah. All right. I know what I have to do.
Yeah, so obviously now we do not have information. So you could, so as soon as your data starts coming through, when you go to this drop down, you will see all of your points, your data points are going to appear here under the measure. So you can then select whether you want to view the count or you want to view the average, that sum. You can also, if you're receiving data from more than one device, so you can have all of your devices appearing here. You can split your data based on what device you want to view the data from, and you can check your heat map, tabular format. All of the information is going to be there. Like I said, time series insight without data is really there isn't really much that we can look at right now. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's the architecture that we've got here on the cloud side of things. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm currently building a MQTT to IoT hub. It's building properly,
Okay.
and no, I don't want to do that. I want you to do not that one. This is the one I want you to log in. Yes. Just a moment, I'll switch over to show you guys what I'm looking at on my screen. It's giving me a here. Let me and I will stop your share.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm gonna send you mine. So let me get this off of here. Let me move this over to here. And then use the Zoom call. Share the screen. Go to my desktop here. So I'm getting these unresolved targets, but I've got you set up as the BEP demo IoT hub with a BEP device switch and shared access signature. So this is just a little project that's got, it looks to have, you've got two different ones. You've got the HTTP demo and you've got the MQTT demo. And you've got a light switch with two methods, one to invoke and one to switch, right? And then I've got this block here that looks like it's supposed to be transmitting, updating the data on the IoT hub. However, I'm getting unresolved errors. Now, that typically happens when
Okay,
you
on your just go back to your IoT hub information there. I think you might need to put the full URL on the.
where.
Okay, so where subdomain name there?
Yeah, so it wants
So
just the
it's
subdomain.
bp demo IoT hub dot Azure devices .net. I would think dot Azure hyphen devices .net.
Yep. All right. And now, so what I need to do is come over here. This this logic is working. So in this application, the next thing I need to do is copy this, and let me make sure that I have my I got my the IoT hub is there. So in this application, I'm gonna paste this. There's the light switch, and then I'm gonna come over here to the PLC program. Copy all this, and we'll put this in this PLC program here.
Then do one more thing once you're done there, Sean.
Yep. What you got?
Can you go back to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at where it says device ID. Is it device ID as defined in on your side of things or on the IoT hub?
I have no idea. Let's here we can take a look. Just a second.
I think it's as defined in the IoT hub, but
That's possible.
try both.
Hang on. We can take a look right here. No, it's not gonna be under here. Users, admin, examples. Here's our documentation. Send device to cloud, receive, read the device twin, setting up the Azure IoT hub, creating devices, creating the SAS token, download the project.
Okay, yeah, I see there. You can just go up. Just down again where you say we've got it's down a bit there. Okay, so where it says S device ID, it says C2. So and if you go to number 2, I think it talks about creating on the IoT hub side. So number 2.
Yeah, it's
So
going to
creating
be
devices. Yeah. So it's going to be the device as defined on the IoT hub, which is BEP demo gateway. Demo gateway. Yeah.
Yep. Did we lose Justin? Did he drop off? Might have to go to work. So there's that. Okay. And so now I'm gonna copy this information out of here. And this is going to actually go over to the other project right here. No, not that one. This one. All right. So now that that's done, then I'm going to go ahead and build this. See if it builds. It seems as though it's built. Now, okay, yeah, that's good. And it looks like should be okay. We're pulling all this stuff in. I'll go ahead and relog in. Let's go ahead, try to log in. 20 references that are not matching. Interesting. It usually has to do with the library, so let's take a look in the library. Here. Where are my placeholders? See if there's anything unbound. No, everything's... Everything seems like it should be there. Huh. That's very odd. Especially since this seems to work, you know, because if I remove this from the build, if I want to, am I missing something? Hang on, let me just look. It's just this and this. That's it. It's all there. Very interesting. Anyway, guys, we're past 15:30 here, and that's when I wanted to get wrapped up. And I know that my wife's gonna end up being pretty upset if we don't get off here soon. And because I know it's getting pretty late for you as well. So anyway, for those of you who are watching live, we'll revisit this, try and do it next week or another 2 weeks, and get some data passing up to the IoT Hub. I'm glad we got a chance to get this all kind of fleshed out. I do apologize for all of the technical issues we were having with YouTube Live. Unfortunately, I did test it. I guess about a week ago with Restream.io. However, I tested only going to YouTube and not to Twitch as well. And I think maybe splitting the signal and trying to send it to both YouTube and Twitch at the same time was just a little too much for Restream to handle. Either that or there's some settings that I'm just not aware of that's necessary. I did take a look at it. Like I said, it seemed like everything was fine, but I do apologize for that late start and kind of getting fighting through that. Next time it'll be better, I guarantee. So if you guys want some more content and you want to see us get wrapped up with everything here and get everything put together here, then we actually put our video cameras up on the screen so that everybody can see us before we go one last time here. If there's stuff that you guys want to see, if there's anything that we could offer that would be useful, I definitely want to make sure that we're listening to the audience, and if there's anything that we can do, guys, to bring you some more content that's helpful or useful, certainly want to make sure that you guys are letting us know. So I appreciate all of you guys sticking with us, and I'd love to do some more, and I'm glad that we can make all this happen. So, you guys got anything to say?
Yeah, well, no, I think pretty much said everything, eh?
Yeah. All
I
right,
think you
guys.
covered it pretty well. We're just gonna iron out some technical issues and then add on to what we had already built.
Yep.
I know I have some work on my end, so
Yep.
we'll get it done.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think part of it is we definitely wanted to show that this stuff definitely takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of time. It's been a couple sleepless nights to get us even to this point. So just so you guys know, I certainly appreciate everybody for watching us, and I'm hoping that we can help you guys out. So, all right, thanks a lot, guys.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thanks.